This past Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018, I was in the library uploading a video to send it out to the video editor, and I noticed that my phone was going off. Everyone else's phone was going off into this loud alarm, Amber Alert type of sound. And, everyone's just looking around each other like, what is this? What's going on? And, I didn't have much time, especially I didn't have time to waste. So I just went ahead and turned it off and continued doing what I was doing. But later on in the day, I noticed that there was this outrage on social media about this event. And, I went online and did some research about it, and it was called a presidential alert. Now, this article that I have by the New York Times goes into depth about this presidential alert, and it tells you, they directly tell you what they are and what they plan to do. So it says at 2:18 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, cell phones across the United States emitted an ominous ring of an emergency presidential alert. It was the first nationwide test of a wireless emergency alert system designed to warn people of a dire threat, like a terror attack, pandemic, or national disaster. So they're going to be using our communication systems, such as our mobile devices, to distribute this huge so-called terrorist attack or national disaster that the government is planning to create themselves. And they're going to use our phones to alert us of this in order for us to be afraid, and they can bring in a new world order. Now, it says 2 minutes later, televisions and radio broadcast test alerts. There was no notification plan for landlines. Now, because they said there was no notification plans for landlines, this means that they want to target a younger audience, because, those who are still using landlines are a dying population here in the United States. So there was no plan for landlines. They want to target people under 40 years of age. Now, it also says that there was no opting out, which drew complaints on social media and had already prompted a lawsuit. So, because there was no opting out of it, that means that this reached millions of people, an estimate of 225 million people who use mobile devices. People who did not get this alert were people who were out of range or had their phones turned off, or whose cellular provider did not partake in this plan. But it also, another thing that I highlighted in this article is that it says it is not mandatory, but all major cell phone providers did take part. So that means that they even told you it wasn't mandatory, but your cell phone providers, our cell phone providers, just willingly handed the government over authority to access our phones and distribute this so-called presidential alert. The New York Times article says the federal government developed a system to issue the alerts, which are scripted in coordination with numerous government agencies. They are limited to 90 characters, but will be expanded to 360 in the future. So they're going to improve this technology in order for them to be able to send us more information within this presidential alert, so we can be in even greater state of fear. The article says the Communications Act of 1934 gives the president the power to use communication systems in case of an emergency, and a 2006 law called for the Federal Communications Commission to work with the wireless industry to transmit such messages. So, as I said before, that our wireless providers are participating with the federal government in order to bring in this new world order agenda and in order to transmit this national disaster or national terrorist attack or emergency. And with so much disapproval of this current president that we have here in office, who would trust him? Who would even want him to have the authority to send off a alert of an emergency or whatever of the sort? See, Americans, since 9/11, we have given away so much of our rights and so much of our privacy. And the government wants us to put our trust in them. I don't think so. The article says, but the law also states that users cannot opt out of the presidential alerts, which are issued at the direction of the president or someone he delegates or both, and executed by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So they can send us these messages whenever the hell they want, whether we like it or not, because it's the law of the land, according to this law. And continue reading the article, it says, it has already spurred a lawsuit filed in New York last week. The plaintiffs, 3 New York City residents, say that the alerts violate their free speech and amount to an unconstitutional seizure of their devices. A plaintiff says the system is tantamount to hijacking private property for the purpose of planting a government-controlled loudspeaker in the home and on every person of American. No. And that's not the only thing that our cell phones do. See, our cell phones are GPS tracking devices, which keeps us under 24-hour surveillance. Our cell phones are spying devices, sending away our private information to government databases. See, this is what Edward Snowden was trying to tell the American people all along. People should be outraged at this. More than 3 New York City residents should be filing lawsuits or should be raising hell about this. The article says, in response, federal officials said that the law laid out strict guidelines for sending emergency alerts. They are sent from secure locations by trained operators using devices similar to laptop computers. I don't give a damn if they're sent from the Wiz hiding behind a curtain. If they're sent from Buddha, they should have no right to be sent to people's private cell phones. Time and time again, the government and government officials have been proven untrustworthy of sending the American populace emergency alerts. See, that's just the excuse that they'll give to justify this or to get people to get used to these emergency alerts. Oh, they're sent by highly trained officials at a secured location, so no one needs to worry about this. Oh, please. The article says, but emergency alerts have come under scrutiny in recent months. In January, the state of Hawaii sent a false alert warning of an incoming ballistic missile, touching off panic across the state. Now you hear that? An incoming ballistic missile? Are you serious? See this, and they even say that it was a false alert, but see, this is the type of alerts or disasters that they're going to try to tell people of or try to create. Something as serious as an incoming ballistic missile. Are you fucking serious? An incoming ballistic missile, they would have the audacity to create a false alert such as that. And especially if there was an incoming ballistic missile going across the sky, where would it be coming from? Who would own an incoming ballistic missile? Who has that type of technology but the government? So they would have to take ownership of it. See, this is, and it's ridiculous. It says officials blamed a worker who misunderstood instructions from a supervisor. See, they gonna have a little potsy or the lower level man to blame. But see, there should be serious consequences for people or for those who try to commit acts like this. But it is our responsibility, for the most part, to be cognizant of their games. The article says, enduring wildfires in California last fall, officials in Northern California were criticized for not sending more alerts. So they would send it for a false alert such as an incoming ballistic missile, but not send enough alerts for wildfires in California. See, they do it when they want to and for what they want to. John Lawson, executive director of Advanced Warning and Response Network, said that the country's alerting systems were fragile and fragmented, and that testing them was crucial to strengthening them. They want to continue to test systems like this to condition people to get used to this type of behavior coming from the elite. It says, quote, testing them is crucial to strengthening them. See, we're all a part of an experiment. And each time they test it, they're doing an experiment. And they're writing down the outcomes of each experiment. They're seeing how people are going to react, what they should do the next time, learning from their mistakes. See, we're all Ponzi's in their little game, in their little experiment. We're in a test tube. I think that the national test is a good idea, said John Lawson, executive director of the Advanced Warning and Response Network. And I hope that the public will have a little patience with it. See, they want the public to be patient until they perfect this presidential emergency alert system, until they have us right where they want us, scared and dependent upon them. The article says, the law states that the agency must test the system every 3 years. Wade Whitmer, deputy director in the FEMA office that oversees public alerts, said that the text is carefully crafted to deliver a clear warning without inducing panic. The scripts are constantly under review, including by experts in social and behavioral science. See, didn't I tell you they have this all down to a science, and they're every time they do these alerts, they're experimenting on us? Why would there be a need for you to have social and behavioral science? Why would there be a need to carefully craft and deliver a clear message without inducing panic if you're not trying to experiment on us? And they also contradict what they say, sending a clear message without inducing panic. What type of message can you send that's clear about an incoming ballistic missile going across the sky that's not going to induce panic? See, they contradict what they say as well. Wade Whitmer says, the goal is to effectively get people to take what we call protective action. He said, such as evacuating to a safe place. Remember that, such as evacuating to a safe place or staying indoors. What would that safe place be? Would they would have you evacuate to a FEMA camp so they can kill you or work you to your death? See, that's what these agendas are for. They're going to create the disaster, and they're going to say, well, here, come to this FEMA rescue area. When that hurricane happened in Houston, people were going to those FEMA camps being murdered. And there was a homeless guy outside the street who was interviewed by the mainstream media reporter, and she asked him Why did he go inside? And he said, because they're killing people inside of there, and they immediately changed the subject. People were calling those rescue response numbers. And when someone came to finally supposedly rescue them, they were being robbed, kidnapped, murdered. See, in times that these disasters do arise, you are to not to trust those who have been sworn to protect you. You must be prepared and be able to get yourself out of disaster situations. Wade Whitmer says, there's never been an incident that rose to the qualification to be a catastrophic national emergency so that the federal government initiated a federal alert into radio and TV, he said. Even so, in interest of preparedness, FEMA is asking for feedback about the test effectiveness. You see this game that they're playing with us in this experiment, that this is a test, and they want for us to answer a survey and tell them how effective it is. Do we like it? How can they improve on it? Don't fall for their tricks. Don't allow them to put the bait out there, and like rats, we take the bait. Demand that we have the ability to opt out of these presidential alerts, and we have the right to our privacy, such as our personal cell phone devices, to ourselves, not to the government and not to our cell phone providers. See, that's why we need to learn more, and even I want to learn more about having the ability to encrypt your cell phone device, your laptop, and other things such as your email. Make it a little difficult or put barriers in the way for them to access it. Make them work for it. Don't fall for this New World Order agenda, people. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know your opinion on this presidential alert